All right, so we've got a ton of requests to take a deep dive into Ambuja cement. And luckily, we've got quite a bit of material to dig into.
Yeah, looks like we've got their latest financials, a pretty slick investor presentation. Oh, and even a letter to the National Stock Exchange of India.
So we're going to try to see what we can learn about Ambuja's strategy from all this, like how they're planning this huge expansion we've been hearing about.
Right, and they seem to be making a big push on the sustainability front, too. It should be interesting to see how all of that's playing out.
Definitely. So maybe let's start with just a quick overview, like how big of a player is Ambuja Cement in India exactly?
Oh, they're definitely one of the major players in the market. I mean, their network covers like 31 states and union territories over 625 districts.
Wow, so they're pretty much everywhere, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. It's
O-
a seriously impressive reach.
Okay, so we've established they've got the reach. But what about their actual strategy? Like,
Yeah.
who are they mainly selling to?
Well, one thing that really stands out is their focus on trade sales. It looks like something like 73% of their business is going through that channel. And a lot of that seems to be targeted at individual home builders.
Interesting. So they're really going straight to the source, cutting out the middleman, I guess.
Exactly.
Right.
And, with the housing market in India being so hot right now, that seems like a pretty smart move.
Makes sense. And I see they're also pushing these premium cement products, almost like they're trying to be the, like the Apple of cement or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. Premium products, higher margins. Seems like a pretty clear path to dominating the market.
All right, so speaking of dominating the market, let's talk about their growth plans because they're aiming pretty high.
Yeah, they are. Ambuja is currently operating at a capacity of 89 million tons per year. But get this, they're planning to hit 140 million tons by 2028.
Whoa, hold on. 140 million tons. That's enough to build a small city every year. How are they even planning to pull that off?
Well, it looks like they've got a pretty multi-pronged approach. First off, they've got some existing projects that'll be wrapping up soon. Those already push them past 100 million tons just this year.
Okay, so that's a good chunk of it right there.
Right. Then on top of that, they've got another 21 million tons worth of projects that are already underway, and then another 21 million in various stages of planning.
Wow, so they're not messing around.
Nope. It's like a cement tsunami about to hit.
All right, so they're building new capacity like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not stopping there, right? What's the deal with all these acquisitions I'm seeing? It's like they're on a cement shopping spree.
Haha. Yeah, it does kind of feel that way. They picked up Sengi Industries back in December 2023, then Pana Cement just a few months ago in August.
So 2 major acquisitions in less than a year. And that's not even all, is it?
Nope. Hold on to your hard hat because they've also just signed a deal to acquire a 46.8% stake in Orient Cements.
Geez, okay, that's a lot of cement. It almost seems like they're trying to corner the whole market.
Well, they're certainly not afraid to be ambitious, that's for sure.
All right, so all this growth must be costing a fortune, though. Let's dig into their financials a bit. I'm seeing some record-breaking sales numbers. But the profit side of things is a little bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah, so their revenue for the quarter is up slightly from last year. It came in at 7,516 crore, but their EBITDA, which basically reflects their operating profitability, actually dipped to 1,074 crore.
Okay, so that's a bit of a red flag. More cement, more revenue, but less profit. Something doesn't quite add up there.
Right, and then their profit after tax also took a hit. It's down to 629 crore compared to the same period last year.
So what's going on behind the scenes here?
Well, it's tough to say for sure without more information, but I mean, integrating 3 major acquisitions in such a short time frame is bound to create some costs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously.
Merging all those operations,
Mhm.
streamlining processes, you're going to have some hiccups along the way.
Right, exactly. And even for a company as big as Ambuja, that's a massive undertaking.
For sure.
Mm.
But couldn't their connection to the Adani Group be helping them out here? Maybe providing some cost savings or efficiencies or something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Being part of the Adani Group definitely gives them some advantages. Like they can source fly ash, which is a key ingredient in cement, straight from Adani power plants. So that cuts down on costs right there.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
And then you've got the Adani Group's expertise in logistics and port operations, which is huge for a company like Ambuja that relies so heavily on shipping and distribution.
Especially in a country as vast as India.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Adani connection is definitely a major asset for them.
So it's like they've got this secret weapon helping them optimize their whole supply chain, which must be saving them a ton of money.
Yeah.
But even with all that, we still can't ignore this profit dip,
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
especially with such ambitious growth plans.
Right. It raises some questions about their ability to maintain profitability as they continue to scale up.
Exactly. So I guess we'll have to see how things play out. But for now, maybe let's shift gears a bit
Mm-hmm.
and talk about their commitment to sustainability because they're making a lot of noise about that too.
Yeah, they are. It'll be interesting to see how that all fits in with the bigger picture.
All right, so let's dive into that next.
So sustainability, right? It's one of those things that a lot of companies talk about. But Ambuja seems to be taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah, I'm seeing all this stuff about water positivity and plastic negativity. What does that even mean for a cement company?
Well, think of it this way. They're not just trying to minimize their environmental impact. They're actually aiming to make things better. Like with water, for example.
Okay, how so?
Well, they've implemented these really impressive rainwater harvesting systems
Yeah.
and water recycling programs, and they've actually achieved water positivity.
Water positivity.
Yeah, it means they're returning more water to the environment than they're using.
Seriously?
How much more? Like 19 times more.
19 times. So they're basically creating oases around their cement plants.
Uh-huh, pretty much. It's really remarkable.
That's incredible. Okay, what about this plastic negativity thing?
So with that, they're tackling plastic waste
Mhm.
by collecting and recycling way more plastic than they generate.
How much are we talking?
8 times more.
8 times more. So they're like a cement company A&D or recycling superhero.
Uh-huh, exactly.
Okay, color me impressed.
Yeah.
But let's not forget cement production itself. That's a pretty energy-intensive process, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a big challenge for the industry.
So how are they addressing that?
Well, they're going all in on green power. They're already getting 18.2% of their energy from renewable sources.
Like solar and wind and stuff.
Exactly. And they're aiming to hit 60% by 2028.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Yeah, it is. But they're also doing things like waste heat recovery to
Right.
make their operations even more efficient.
Okay, so they're really walking the walk here, not just talking about it.
It seems that way.
Mm.
But of course, all of this can't be cheap.
Yeah, I was just thinking that building out all this green infrastructure, it's
Mhm.
got to be costing them a pretty penny.
Oh, absolutely. It's a major investment.
Could that be contributing to the profit dip we talked about earlier?
It's definitely a factor. Sustainability often requires upfront costs.
Right, it's like they're laying the foundation for a more sustainable future, even if it means taking a bit of a hit in the short term.
Exactly. And, with the growing focus on ESG, it could really pay off for them in the long run.
For sure. Investors are definitely paying attention to this stuff. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
Right. It's becoming a must-have.
So it sounds like Ambuja's on the right track here. But even with all these efforts, cement production still has a pretty big environmental impact.
Yeah, there's no denying that.
So do you think they can actually achieve their net zero goals by 2050?
Well, it's a tough goal for sure,
Uh,
but they've had their targets validated by the Science-Based Targets Initiative.
what does that mean exactly?
Basically, it means they've got a concrete, scientifically backed plan.
Okay, so it's not just wishful thinking.
Right. And they're already seeing some tangible results with their water and plastic initiatives, so it's definitely possible.
But how does all of this tie back into their financial performance?
Right, because at the end of the day, they need to be profitable.
Exactly. Can they really be both a sustainability champion and a financial powerhouse?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And this is where their financial statements get really interesting.
How so?
Well, they're very transparent about their capital expenditures, including the investments they're making in sustainability.
So investors can clearly see where their money's going.
Exactly. Transparency is key, especially when it comes to ESG.
Absolutely. It builds trust and shows that they're serious about their commitments.
Right. And I think what sets Ambuja apart is that they're not treating sustainability as some kind of afterthought or just a PR exercise.
It seems like it's really baked into their business strategy.
Exactly. They're making the necessary investments, even if it means lower profits in the short term, because they believe it's the right thing to do for their business and for the planet.
That's great to hear. Honestly, it's refreshing to see a company putting their money where their mouth is and not just paying lip service to sustainability.
I agree. It's definitely a good sign.
So now that we've talked about their sustainability efforts, maybe let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. Ambuja's operating in a rapidly growing economy with a huge demand for infrastructure and housing.
Right. India's economy is booming.
Exactly. So how does that all play into their future outlook?
Well, it means they're in a pretty sweet spot. India needs a lot of cement.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All that infrastructure and housing that's being built.
Exactly. So the demand is definitely there, and Ambuja is in a great position to capitalize on it.
With all their expansion and acquisitions and all that.
Exactly. They're really going all in, which is a bit risky, but also pretty exciting.
Okay, so they've got this huge growth opportunity. But can they actually afford it? I mean, all this expansion and sustainability stuff, it's got to be costing a fortune.
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Remember all that expansion and all those acquisitions?
Yeah, they've been busy.
You'd think they'd be drowning in debt, right?
I mean, that's usually how these things go. You go on a spending spree, you rack up a ton of loans.
Right. But Ambuja is completely debt-free.
Wait, seriously? Debt-free?
Yep, no debt whatsoever. It's pretty remarkable, actually.
That's like finding a unicorn in the cement industry. How is that even possible?
Well, they've got a really strong track record of profitability. They're generating a ton of cash flow. And they've been very strategic with their investments. Plus, they've got a healthy net worth, over 59,916 crore, and a nice cushion of over 10,135 crore in cash and cash equivalents.
Okay, so they're not just building castles in the sky. They've got a solid financial foundation to support all their ambitions.
Exactly. They're in a very strong position.
But with all this talk about profits and expansion, let's not forget about their commitment to sustainability.
Right.
Can they really afford to be both a financial powerhouse and a leader in ESG?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something that investors are watching very closely. But the good news is Ambuja seems to understand that sustainability and profitability aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah, it seems like they're actually betting that their ESG initiatives will boost their financial performance in the long run.
Exactly. It's a smart strategy because sustainability is becoming more and more important for investors.
Absolutely. It's not just about doing the right thing anymore. It's also about attracting investors and reducing costs and building a strong brand.
Right. And let's not forget the advantage they get from being part of the Adani Group. They can leverage the group's expertise in renewable energy logistics port operations to make their whole value chain more efficient and sustainable.
Yeah, that's a huge plus. So it's like this virtuous cycle. Their sustainability efforts support their financial performance, and their financial strength allows them to invest even more in sustainability.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
But of course, no business is immune to challenges. What are some of the potential headwinds Ambuja might face in the coming years?
Well, rising interest rates are always a concern, inflation too. And then there are the fluctuations in commodity prices. Cement production relies on a lot of raw materials.
Yeah, so any price swings there could really impact their bottom line.
Exactly. And then they also need to navigate all the complexities of integrating those acquisitions.
Right. Merging different company cultures, streamlining operations,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
exactly. It can be a tricky process.
For sure. And let's not forget about the increasing regulatory scrutiny around environmental issues.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They need to stay ahead of the curve on that.
But from what we've seen, Ambuja seems to be pretty proactive. They're diversifying their product portfolio, investing in R&D, engaging with stakeholders.
Right. It seems like they're really trying to anticipate and adapt to these challenges.
Well, it's been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from Ambuja's ambitious growth plans to their impressive sustainability efforts. And it's clear that they're a company to watch.
Definitely. They're pushing the boundaries in the cement industry and showing that it's possible to be both profitable and responsible.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. But we encourage you to continue exploring Ambuja Cement and see what other insights you can uncover. We've included links to their website and investor reports in the show notes.
And be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into a fascinating company.
Thanks for listening.